Senator Markwayne Mullin is on with me. Senator, I know your time is scarce. I really appreciate it. And you've had about the best explanation of the Senate rule changes, why they're necessary, what's taking place, the historical precedent by trying to get through some of these nominees through that the Democrats are blocking. Even nominees they probably support, they're still blocking them. Tell me what's going on and what we're doing.
So here's what our path forward is. Well, let me back this up. Let me first of all explain to you what we're having to do, Alex. In the history of the United States, we have never had a president get all his nominees filibustered, except I'd say all of them. It's been all but Marco Rubio, and give you some perspective. Going all the way back prior to Obama. Usually around 98% of all the nominees outside of cabinet and judicial nominees were voice voted on. And because, really the ones we're talking about are people that you couldn't even name, positions you don't even know exist. And so, and then when President Trump came in place, they dropped it down to 60%, Trump 45. It was 90% with Obama, 98% with Bush 43, Clinton and Bush 41, Reagan. You can go back to to Jimmy Carter. You can keep going back, and it was usually well over 90%. Trump was the first time it dropped below 90, and it was at 60%. Then underneath Biden, it was 57%, and now underneath Trump 47, it's zero. So what Chuck Schumer has decided to do is that he's going to filibuster every single person that's coming up. Now, what we've decided to do is we're going to make a rule change, and this rule change basically reflects what the traditional way that things were done in the Senate, meaning that outside the cabinet, outside judicial nominees, and with the exception of a few ambassadors, you did voice vote or unanimous consent on blocks. We call them M blocks. So because Chuck Schumer has done what he's decided to do, we're now going to make a tradition, to which Congress has always did. We're going to make it now into a permanent rule change where we're going to bring up these individuals in blocks of 5, 20, 30, 40, or even 50. And we're going to have a regular 2-hour debate. It may end up being a 30-hour debate. We still got to do that. But for us to do that, we got to overrule the chair several times. And that starts actually tonight. So tonight, Leader Thune is going to file a motion to proceed to a rule change, to which the Democrats then, I know this gets wonky, but this is the way the House works, or the Senate works, is we got to pursue to a rule change that is going to probably trigger a response from the Democrats, which is going to cause procedural motions. And eventually we got to wear them out on their procedural motions before we can move on to the first one, and that would be to overrule the chair by having to have a rule change with either, depending on the rule, it could be 60 or 67 votes to simple majority. Now, the first time this has happened, by the way, is when Harry Reid did this when Obama was in, and so it's not like this is the first time it's happened. It was happened again in 2017 and again in 2019. And then once we proceed to that rule change, that'll be to do an en bloc. If we can overrule the chair, which we can, then we made to do the debate time where we limit the debate from a 30-hour debate on the en bloc. We'll do the debate at 2 hours, and that'll take a second procedural motion for us to overrule the chair again, and then we will proceed straight into clearing the president's nominee backlog and putting his people in place, which the American people elected him to do back in November.
All right, so this is something that I think was proposed by Amy Klobuchar in 2023, basically the same
2023,
rule
that's
change.
right.
Yeah, what was the circumstances around that? Why wasn't it adopted then, and what's the difference here? Is there any?
It actually did pass the committee at the time. What Amy she had tried to go around Tuberville's block. Tuberville had put a hold on everything moving forward, every nominee moving forward, because I won't rehash it, because of a circumstance that was taking place in Alabama. And so for her to go around him, she proposed this exact language that we're putting forth, except she had it limited to 10. We're not going to limit ours to 10 because we have such a tremendous backlog of individuals waiting to be put in position that's already went through the confirmation process in the committees. we are instead of doing 10, we're going to do bigger blocks. But this exact same language, every Democrat voted for. The reason why they didn't follow through with the final change is because Senator Tuberville lifted his hold and prevented that. And once they did that, we started going back to doing in blocks by voice vote and unanimous consent, which has always been done. The Democrats refused to play ball with that. That's why we're having to make the rule change to do exactly what Amy had wanted to do in 23.
So the talk right now is that you guys are degrading the Senate by doing this, and yet it's the same thing that they proposed, 18 months ago.
That's right. And there's other media outlets too, Alex, that are saying that this is a nuclear option. We didn't go nuclear. Chuck Schumer went nuclear by choosing to filibuster every single one of President's nominees. And that's the nuclear option. We're having to react to Chuck Schumer's nuclear option.
Okay, so I really have about a minute here, Senator, and I know you got to get back to work here. But we're also looking at end of the fiscal year, and like I said, I'm getting pretty pessimistic about the way the funding battle is shaping up. Can you give us any insight into where negotiations are?
The House and the Senate Republicans are prepared to do the 12 appropriation bills. We're prepared to also keep the government open by funding a short-term CR, clean CR if we have to. I'm afraid Chuck Schumer is going to lead us into a Schumer shutdown. And why I say that is because we can put 47 votes on the board all day long. We can probably put 51. I don't think we can get all 53 Republicans to support a CR. But even if we got all 53, it still takes 60 to pass a funding bill inside the United States Senate outside of reconciliation. And so we have to have Democrats to agree with us on this. Chuck Schumer, who has voted for every CR except once in 2017 when he forced the government shutdown at that time, has supported a CR, but he is saying now he won't because he's scared of AOC running against him in the Senate. So I'm afraid there's a likelihood we end up going to a shutdown.
This is going to be wild. All right, Senator, come back and talk to me before the end of the month if you can.
All right, Alex.
I'm Alex Marlow in for Hugh. I'll be right back.